Let's build our personality test. So first of all, I'm going to show you a run through of the program and then we'll look at the program. So I have a file called personalitytest.py and I'm going to run that with Python. And this is just some questions that are in the personality test. So I'll answer them to the best of my ability. I won't read through all them right now. So let's say when you're at a party, I interact with a few. I'm more realistic. Is it worse to? That's a tricky one. I'll say be in a rut, more impressed by principles, more drawn towards convincing. I prefer to work to deadlines. I tend to choose rather carefully. Okay, so I've answered those questions and it outputs my Myers-Briggs personality type of ISTJ. So in the last lecture, I talked you through briefly what that means, so you can take a look back there if you're interested. But this is what our program does. It says I am an ISTJ, and I know I've taken this test before. Historically, the full-fledged test, which takes like a half hour or something like that, and I'm pretty sure I was an ISTJ on that. So this is somewhat accurate. Again, I don't think it's extremely accurate, but it's a fun program, and you can take it and have your friends take it, and something that can be interesting. It's a good way for us to test out some of the things we've learned in Python, such as input, user input. We're also looking at some if-else statements, which we've recently learned about. So we're putting those to good use here. So this is our personality test.py file, and this is attached as a resource to this lecture. So I'd invite you to find that attachment and copy the text onto your computer, and then you can run it, you can modify it, you can go through line by line and review it and make it your own. You can add questions to it to make it more accurate. So what I'm going to do is walk you through a little bit of the essence of this, and we'll talk about it. This personality test project. So first of all, we are printing out a welcome, and then we're initializing some variables. These are integers. So these are our Myers-Briggs characterizations. We're setting them all to the value of 0. And as we answer questions, which we see here's a question, we just have various questions. We have 7 questions in our test, which again is not a lot. As we answer each question, depending on the input from the user, which we're setting to the value of an answer variable, we are adding or incrementing values of these variables. So if the answer or the input from our user for this particular question is 1, then we're saying add 1 to extroversion. That's what this plus equals means. We're saying extroversion is assigned extroversion plus 1. So extroversion equals extroversion plus 1. That plus equals is a common syntax that we'll see to do that. So if the answer from the user is not equal to 1, so we have our else statement, again practicing our if-else conditionals, then we'll say introversion plus equals 1, or introversion is equal to introversion, which was 0, plus 1. And so we have various questions. Each section here is just a question, and we're incrementing various characteristics depending on the question, as you can see. And then if we go down to the bottom, we are then aggregating that to determine the personality type. And I'll talk through that here in a second. But at the end, ultimately, of the program, we output your Myers-Briggs personality type is with an F string and our variable personality type. So personality type, we're initializing right here to an empty string. And then we're saying if extroversion is greater than introversion, or if sensing is greater than intuition, thinking greater than feeling, judging greater than perceiving. Let me make that a little more uniform. We have these various if-else statements, and we're saying if-else, if this is greater than this, otherwise. So with each of these individually, we're adding a character to our empty string. So if extroversion is greater than introversion, then we add the character E. Otherwise, we add the character I to our string. And we'll just add sequentially 4 characters with our 4 if-else statements until ultimately we come up with our personality type, the Myers-Briggs personality type. So that is the guts of the program. Again, I invite you to download it and try it out and make it your own. And that will tell us roughly our personality type, which can be useful in helping us get along with others, helping us understand ourselves better, and helping us just live better lives. So a useful little Python program. These personality tests, you can find some for free online. Some of them cost money, but hey, you can make your own in Python. So I wanted to show you through, before we finish, just a little bit about what these values add up to. So I've got over here some text. I'm going to print the values of our characteristics here within our program. So just at the very bottom, before our if-else statements to aggregate the personality type, we're going to print the values of all these characteristics. So I'm saving that file. And let's come over here and run it again. And I'm just going to zoom through this, entering all ones. You see it says we're an ENTJ with all ones. And the values of our variables are as follows. So you can then do the logic and see, if such and such a characteristic is greater than another characteristic, then we aggregate those strings. So you can see how that works is where we're looking at those values. And another neat thing with a neat tool to add to your toolkit with conditionals, if-else conditionals, we can also write them a different way. So I've got here what's called a conditional expression or a ternary operator. And essentially, this line, well, let me copy and paste this over here, and we'll show you the difference. I'm replacing all of this text, which is lines 99 through 117. I can replace that with these 4 lines right here. And what it does is it's result if true. So we're assigning all of this to a variable on each line, to this personality type variable. So this right here would represent everything from here over on each line. So we're saying result if true, so E, result if true, if, and then our condition, extroversion greater than introversion, else, and then the result if false, I. So either E or I will be assigned personality type. And that's just another way to leverage our if-else conditionals that I wanted you to be aware of, that can be useful if it makes sense in your code. So we'll continue to talk about things like this as we go along in the course. I wanted you to be aware of that. It doesn't always make sense to do this. I'm not saying you should do this all the time. I'm just saying if we have a bunch of if-else statements like this, and they're really similar, a simple way to condense that is by doing this conditional expression, or ternary operator is what it's called. Now let's just delete these almost 20 lines of code and replace them with our 4 lines of code, and we'll save, and let's run it again, make sure it works. And we'll just enter 2 for all of these this time. And we see it's outputted INFP for our personality type, but the program runs. So we've just consolidated that code. Interesting tidbit about those conditionals. And that completes our personality test. So again, I invite you to download that file that's attached to this lecture as a resource. Copy paste it onto your machine, test it out, see what personality type you are. Again, maybe not the most accurate. We only have 7 questions, but it's a fun exercise. I'd love to hear what personality type you are, if you'd like to share. Okay, thanks guys. We'll see you in the next lecture.